Hey people, welcome to the channel, and do yourself a favor, stay for this video up until the very end. I'll go through some of the things you probably do know. I'll go through many things I'm sure you don't know, and by the end of the video, I'll help you reach the same conclusion I did and see things from a perspective that it's extremely difficult to argue against. I mean, you can, but it's going to be very difficult for you to argue against the points that I'll make, and you'll probably see things in the same way I do now and reach the same conclusion I did and realize that, yeah, that's exactly correct. So as you probably guessed now, we'll be talking about aspirins. We'll be talking about, is it a wonder drug? Says time? No, I heard about one a day. No, but then this other guy, well, not this other guy, this other doctor said no, that you shouldn't. And then there was this video where there were like 3 different heart surgeons saying no because it has this benefit, but then you have stomach ulcers, right? And all of these things, and it's always like confusing. And no, bear with me. It is going to be a bit of a longer video, but you'll see where I got after many hours. So that's the point of this video, saving you all of that time and helping you make a decision that will probably have a massive impact in your quality of life. No question about that. So, in case you don't know, the good old little aspirin that's been around since when is it? Definitely way over 100 years ago. So it is by far one of the most tested drugs we've ever had. It's one of the safest ones. Sure, there are some risks, like with everything else that you do. There are risks with any medication you're taking. So that's the point in which you immediately, oh, hey, I'm healthy. I shouldn't be taking any kind of medicine. Are you really all that healthy? Yeah, I have no problem. Like, for example, dude, I have nothing. I have no idea, right, about any complication that I may have. I don't know. I'm good, right? Touching wood and all, but I'm fine. So why would you take something like this every single day if you're fine, if you're healthy? Usually that's the time in which a doctor says, well, you're okay. Well, I'm still a human being, and there's going to be a time in which I'm maybe not all that healthy, and as I grow older, that is going to be increasing exponentially. And the thing is, I'm not taking anything right now. Or am I? Am I taking things that I don't even know of, that I'm not even aware of, right? So let's start with the benefits of aspirin and here is usually where it gets into the low dose. We're talking about the little baby aspirin, the 100 milligram, that usually most doctors, for people that have a heart condition or had a heart attack or something like that, usually they will have that recommended. Most doctors, for someone that has any kind of heart condition or had surgery, usually it's going to be, yeah, take a little baby aspirin once a day. And that's where usually this got out. Like, okay, so that's actually good. You take it. Why? Well, aspirin is interesting. It does a couple things. It makes blood a little bit thinner. And of course, the more you take, the more of this effect it has. But a low dose daily is where it apparently you get some of the better results. The study look at patients. Many aspirin suggests reduced risk heart attack, but now fresh evidence suggests that the over-the-counter pain reliever may be a powerful tool in cancer prevention as well. Okay, so it is heart problems and it is cancer. Would you like to avoid any of those or both? Yeah, so okay, so bear with me some more, right? The study looks at the patients who were participating in several long-term randomized trials and effects of daily dosed aspirin 75 milligrams to 300 for prevention of heart disease. The researchers examined how many of the, and by the way, this is Time magazine. Yeah, I'm not going to bother. You look it up yourself if you want to look it up. It's not that difficult to Google something, okay, guys, before anyone starts crying about it. In one study, patients taking aspirin had nearly 25% lower risk of cancer after 5 years. So we're not talking heart problems now, and that's not even argued. The idea of how much it benefits you in terms of avoiding heart attacks in the first place, or even if you end up having them being a lot less damaging than if you didn't take low-dose aspirin, right? So patients had nearly 25% lower risk of cancer after 5 years. That is fucking insane. It is crazy that just taking aspirin once a day, the tiny little one, you lower it by 25% compared to those with taking placebo. That translated to a 15% lower risk of dying of cancer during the study period. After 5 years, the risk of death was 37% lower in patients who remained on aspirin. 37%, that is massive. In another study, so we're looking at different studies, which includes 5 large trials in Britain that followed patients over an average of 6.5 years. Aspirin users enjoyed a 36% lower risk of developing metastatic cancer and a 46% reduced risk of being diagnosed with colon, lung, and prostate cancer. That is almost 50% for fucking aspirin. It is the cheapest, and we will have to get into that about, okay, maybe it's just too cheap. Maybe it's just too easy to get. Maybe it's just too good, too easy, too cheap. There's not enough money. You see what we're getting at? But again, bear with me. There's going to be more. You're going to evolve in your thought here a lot more. A third study published in Lancet Oncology looked at findings from observational studies and found that the regular use of aspirin reduced the long-term risk of several cancers and prevented the metastasis of tumors. So even if you end up getting it, it's still going to benefit you in terms of, it's not going to do metastasis as much. It's not going to be as bad. Kind of similar like when you have you have a heart attack. Okay, even if you have it, but because you took the aspirin, it reduces the damage significantly as well, right? Taken together, findings, the first two show the benefits of aspirin lowering cancer risk in short periods of time. Early studies have demonstrated reduced risk after 8, 10, as long as 20 years. So that is... Okay, let's go into Harvard publishing, aspirin and breast cancer risk. How a wonder drug, this is Harvard Health Publishing, not me. How a wonder drug may become more wonderful. All right, so it's already a wonder drug, aspirin apparently. This is 2020, so it's a little bit more recent. Aspirins have been called a wonder drug, and it's easy to see why. It's inexpensive, side effects are well known and generally minor, and since it was developed in 1890, it's been shown to provide a number of potential benefits, such as relieving pain. Okay, all of that is good. 20 years or so, the list of aspirin potential benefits has been growing, and it might be good to get even longer. Did you know that aspirin may lower your risk of several types of cancer? No, good people of Harvard. No, we did not know. You know why? Because no one is damn telling us. And we probably have a good idea as of why that is, right? Number of studies, aspirin can lower risk certain types, colon, ovary, liver, prostate. The evidence aspirin could reduce risk of colon cancer, some guides. Daily aspirin use certain groups, people prevent colon cancer, including adults age 50, 59, with cardiovascular risk factors, and those with an inherent tendency to develop colon polyps and cancer. What about breast cancer? A number of studies in recent years suggest that breast cancer should be added to the list. Damn breast cancer, man. Nothing. It's amazing. One of the more convincing studies linked aspirin use low risk of breast cancer following more than 57,000 women who were surveyed about their health. 8 years later, about 3% of them had been newly diagnosed with breast cancer. Those who reported taking low-dose aspirin at least 3 days a week had significantly fewer breast cancers. Regular low-dose aspirin use was associated with a 16% lower risk of breast cancer. That is significant. 16, that's a lot. The reduction in risk was even greater, about 20% for a common type of breast cancer fueled by hormones called HR positive. So with a specific type, it's even greater. No significant reduction in risk was found among those taking regular dose of aspirin. So again, interesting. You don't have to overdo it. It's apparently it's not even as effective as the low dose one or the other anti-inflammatory medications as ibuprofen. Right, and that's because it has different effects, especially in terms of blood thinning. You know, it becomes another analysis review finding 13 previous studies include more than 850,000 women and found 14% lower risk after 5 years of taking aspirin, 27% lower risk after 10 years of aspirin use, 46% reduction in risk after 20 years of aspirin use. The studies did not examine why or how aspirin might reduce risk, so we really don't know. In animal studies, breast cancer aspirin had demonstrated anti-tumor properties, including inhibiting tumor cell division and impairing growth of pre-cancer cells. And human research have observed an anti-estrogen effect of aspirin that could be important because estrogen encourages the growth of the same breast cancer. It's also possible that aspirin inhibits new blood vessels formation that breast cancer needs to grow, and the particular genetics of the tumor cells may be important in aspirin's ability to suppress cancer. One of the things I read is that because it thins blood, it kind of reduces how easy it is for these cells to like bunch up and cover themselves more and hide themselves more from your own antibodies. I mean, you have constantly in your body little cell malfunctions, basically little corrupted parts of your DNA. And when those cells are messed up, your antibodies clean those up. Now, if that is fed, if that grows, if that covers with more cells and more actual mechanical stuff covering it up, it's difficult for your antibodies to even detect it. So one of the possible theories, again, this is one of the many things because they don't study it that much. Why? Well, we'll see in a minute. But because of that, it is a lot cleaner and a lot less murky in the waters or in the blood, and your antibody mechanism can work better against those cells, right? So now what? Nothing. All they do is, okay, yeah, that's impressive. We'll leave it at that. We cannot make money out of it. It's too soon to suggest that women should take. Is it really? Fucking assholes. Is it really, Harvard, too soon to suggest? Because I think it's not. I think that I like the idea of having 50% less chance of having cancer 20 years from now, right? 46%, is it? And that's what you tested with almost 1 million women and people in general. So why not? Well, it has its side effects. What is the side effect of a baby aspirin? Well, stuff. Americans take 29 billion aspirins every year. All right. Doctors would. And here is where we get to one of the final interesting conclusions. Oh, not yet. You'll have to bear with me just a little bit more, right? Reasons the data, safety monitors, board, emergency 44% reduction in the risk of a first heart attack among aspirin takers. God damn it. So it reduces almost 44, 50. Let's round it up to a nice 50%. Let's go with that, okay? 50% reduction because you're taking a little baby aspirin each day. Or even, it could be 3 or 4 times a week. You don't even have to take it every single day, right? When we started the study, we thought there might be about 15 or 20% reduction if one occurred at all. So they were surprised. They were expecting maybe a little bit. No, 44%. The people doing the study were surprised by how effective it is. At about the same time, our study showed that taking low-dose aspirin regularly significantly lowers the risk not only of second heart attacks, but also of stroke. Evidence shows that taking an aspirin within 24 hours of having a heart attack, the chances of dying is reduced by 23%. I like the idea of not dying. I don't know about you. The effectiveness of aspirin may be found in its ability to make small changes in the blood. If you cut yourself when you're shaving and you bleed, it's blood platelets that come together and stick together and initiate the stopping of the bleeding. So it was thought that if aspirin could decrease the tendency of blood to clot this way, it might break the chain of events leading to a heart attack. Aspirin acts on hormone-like substances called prostaglandins, which tell the blood platelet to clot. English questions 19 discovered the aspirin was a life-saving drug, and he won the Nobel Prize. Right. So the aspirin English researcher Sir John Vang figured out the aspirin question in 1971. Discovered the aspirin was a life-saving drug. Won the Nobel Prize over aspirin. Okay. Some 40,000 women, healthcare professionals, some still working, others retired, are about to make more aspirin history. They are participating in a 10-year Harvard Medical School study that concludes next month. All right, this was in 2024. All right, so this may be linked to some of the more recent ones. But let's move to maybe the question: Why isn't this suggested all the time? You're a fucking adult. Start taking a tiny little aspirin. Dr. Davis asks why aspirin the real health reform. And here he gets into contributor, University of Southern California study concluded that if older Americans with elevated risk of cardiovascular disease take low-dose aspirin every day, it would save 900,000 lives over the next 20 years, improve life expectancy by 0.3, prevent more than 3 months, and save $692 billion in dollars in health costs by 2036. And that's, my good friend, you loyal subscriber, this is why it is not being said. This is why it's not publicized or promoted. They just do the study. Okay, that's interesting. 50% less chance of having a heart attack and a stroke and cancer and so on. All right. Yeah, let's just keep this to ourselves. Why? Well, because of almost $700 billion. Because here it says, save $692 billion in health costs. What the health guys and what Big Pharma sees here is, no, this tiny little bastard is going to cost us $700 billion. We're not doing this. We're not financing more studies to do even more research. We're certainly not telling them what we already know, right? So no, we're not doing this. It goes on. The benefits of aspirin, some things I was absolutely surprised. It is even better for infertility, improving like 20% chance of pregnancy and avoiding miscarriages. And it all comes down to, I was always like, why? Why is it so good at this stuff? And I remember this other guy that was an anti-aspirin dude, a doctor in YouTube, a video that I just saw like a few minutes ago. And the guy was the anti-aspirin guy, right? Because the argument against taking aspirin is what? What is it? Stomach ulcers? Right? Which you can easily avoid by, first of all, it is a baby aspirin, 10 milligrams. It is not that big a deal. Take it with a little bit of food and that's it. It is tiny. I'm taking it myself with at least 2 glasses of water, 2 glasses of water and food. So if you have some food in your stomach and you take it with a lot of water, I have some serious questions about how likely this is to have any ulcer or irritation or anything at all in your body. It is super tiny and is the 100 milligram little aspirin. So there's things about using it 3 times a week, up to 300 milligrams dose. I think that the 10 milligram makes a lot of sense. I think that's the thing. That's the baby aspirin. And even if you want to go like 5 times a week, 6 times a week, I think that, at least for a few years now, I plan on going with a little baby aspirin along with food and a lot of water, and that's it. And the thing that I believe is going on is the thinning of the blood. Why would a healthy person take this? Well, let me tell you why. Because unlike some of these other doctors that say, well, you're healthy, you're not taking, why are you taking a drug? Because, good doctor, we already are all taking a bunch of shit that is not normal. If we were all wild, savage creatures running around in the fucking savannah on hunting lions and shit, we wouldn't need a little baby aspirin. But we're not that. We're human beings. We eat highly processed food all the time. Even I, that have the benefit of, the time, the resources, we eat super healthy in my house. There's still stuff there that is really not all that healthy. There's stuff that you have in your diet that is not all that normal. And I think that one of the key differences, one of the reasons why this is so fucking effective is we live in a society where there's a lot of sugar all over the place. And we know that sugar is not good for a number of things. It's causing inflammations, right, all over your body every time. And there's people that eat a lot of sugar. Not my case, not exactly the case of my family, but I do eat it. And it is not normal. The processed sugar that you have all over the place is not normal. If you eat anything that is not homemade, you're making, and by homemade, you can make a cake in your house. You can have tea with a spoon of sugar, like a little teaspoon of sugar. You can eat something you can eat ketchup. You can eat a number of things. Everything in our diet has sugar in it. Even unless you are extremely careful, everything has sugar. And sugar is something that makes a couple of things happen in your body, which are tremendously bad. Without being a doctor, as well as that, blood gets thicker, more sticky, more dense with sugar. This is exactly what aspirin goes against. Aspirin thins down your blood. So for all of these crybabies about, well, you know, if you get cut, there was a doctor, fucking actual MD doctor. Well, if you get like a cut and you have aspirin, how much aspirin are you taking, man? We're talking about 10 milligrams once a day, maybe even less than that. Really? You're being presented with information about lowering cancer almost 50% and strokes and heart disease in a significant manner, and you're worried about what, bleeding out? Do you have any idea what are the chances of that? Really? Well, carry a fucking tourniquet if you... No, but if you hit your head and there's... Yeah, okay, I get it. But the chances of that happening versus heart disease, cancer, and stroke... I mean, you don't have to do any math at all. It all makes perfect sense. But I think it goes back to this. The thinning of the blood that should naturally be thin already, which in our diet it is not, because no one eats that healthy. Even if you are healthy, even if you work out, it's not about, oh, but I work out, but I do this. And okay, do you eat anything processed? And it's sugar, it's the salt, it's all of the crap in our food. And even when you eat healthy, you're using ingredients that happen through the industrial process. There's so much crap in our environment, even the little microplastics, that there's no way in hell you can probably escape if you live in planet Earth. That, you know what causes? Inflammation. What is it that this does? It lowers your inflammation level. So it goes against two main things that we have in our modern world going against our health. Thickening, sticky, sugary blood, or whatever it is that we have right in our blood these days, which is unnaturally dense and unnaturally affected by all of the industrial crap, right? That and the inflammation, the constant inflammation. Even on a stress-related aspect, right? Anything that you do in terms of reducing inflammation in general in your body, that has a lot of, and this goes for this. It goes for cold showers as well. Cold showers have that one of the advantages, one of the positive effects of cold showers is reducing inflammation. Cold in general reduces, anything you do to reduce inflammation can be tremendously beneficial. So it's crazy, man. But that's it. That's why they don't want you to do it, because it costs them a lot of money. They lose a lot of money with healthy people. It is not good for big pharma to have healthy people. I mean, why would they? Why would they pay for a study of something that is dirt cheap? Why would they promote or pay for more studies or promote the idea of something that would cost them that much money? $700 billion is a lot of money. They don't want to lose that. I mean, it makes perfect sense. But that's the world in which we live in. I hope you watched this video. And if you appreciate what I try to do here for you guys, then subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Share this with as many people as you can, especially this video. And to learn more about survival preparedness, you have my books, Surviving the Economic Collapse and the Modern Survival Manual. You have them in my links there below, available in Amazon, and now in Kindle as well. For those of you that were asking about it, there it is too. See you next time, guys. Take care.